Hi, everybody in TMI land. I thought I would do a quick video. We'll see how quick this winds up being. TMI videos tend to run longer because I'm not scripted and I just talk and I tend to ramble when I talk, which is kind of what I'm doing right now. Anyway, I got a lot of thoughts from you guys, a lot of comments from my studio video, the one where I rebuilt the studio and stuff. And I wanted to respond to some of it. I wanted to give my thoughts on your thoughts. Thoughts on your thoughts. That's a Parks and Rec reference. First of all, I got so many really nice comments from people that were saying that watching that video inspired them to clean up their space and whatnot. I think that's funny. But I also, the more I think about it, there's something about cleaning up your space. There's something about organizing and basically getting your shit together that I think we all put it off so much. Like our just lives are so hectic and we're always just kind of trying to get to the next thing. And the idea of just putting everything on pause and reworking everything and getting stuff figured out. I guess there's something kind of therapeutic about that. And almost impossible seeming for most people. I mean, this is something I do like once a year. So I think maybe seeing the before and the after, especially the before part when it was just like an atomic bomb went off in here, maybe it gave people a little bit of, maybe people identify with that a little bit. And maybe maybe seeing somebody actually tackle that was inspiring or something. I guess I get it. I thought it was kind of funny at first. So people were like, this inspired me. I'm like, really? But there were a lot of specific comments that I was getting over and over and over again, some of which I totally expected. I knew it as I was doing it. People are going to be commenting on this. And the other one, there are others that I wasn't quite expecting. But I thought I would answer them because I do have some answers to that. So I'll start with the computer. Okay, so I had so many comments. I'll put them all up on screen right now. You probably won't even be able to see my face. But I got so many comments asking why I went with the Mac Pro. And here's the deal. So Marquez Brownlee did a video where he was talking about the Mac, I guess the M1 Studio, the Mac Studio Pro, where he was basically calling the Mac Pro the biggest ripoff in tech, right? So I saw that video 3 days after I paid for this thing. And I probably would have gone with it anyway. And a lot of people were saying, like, why didn't you wait until they came out with the Mac Silicon on the Mac Pro? Dude, I did. I waited. I wanted, so the iMac Pro that I've been wanting to kind of move up from that for a long time. And I was waiting for a Mac Pro with the Apple Silicon in it. Because, I mean, of course, why not? Why wouldn't I? But they still haven't done it yet. I don't know why. And so it finally got down to the end of last year for tax reasons. It was kind of like time to spend some money. If I was going to buy some equipment, I needed to do it then for tax purposes. So I could either, wait another 6 months or a year or forever for them to finally do that, because God knows when they're going to do it, or I could just, bite the bullet and get it because it would be better than what I have. So that's what I did. It wasn't, though, just the amount of power that I needed from this new computer, which I guess these new M1 Studio Pros do. It was also, I needed to be able to expand it. I have all these cameras and equipment and stuff that I need to be able to like plug in. The capture card that I put in this computer so that I would be able to do the 4K and record it the way that I want to. It required a capture card. It required expanding this computer, and I wouldn't have been able to do that with the M1 Studio. Now, immediately I can hear it already. There's probably hubs and dongles and external components that would serve that function with the Mac Pro Studio. So yeah, it probably could have worked, but the main thing was basically, again, I was waiting for the Apple Silicon Mac Pro, and it never did arrive. I needed to spend the money by the end of the year, and yeah, Marquez hadn't called out what a what a ripoff this was before that. So I wound up with what I got, and there's the answer. Yeah. The other thing that people lost their minds about, and this one I totally saw coming. I 100% knew people were going to complain about this. Like, as I was doing it, I was like in my head, I almost just spoke to this in the video in a very snarky way. I had this whole thing planned, and then I decided, nah, I didn't do it. And sure enough, like everybody harped on it. Joe, why didn't you use a roller to paint the wall? I especially love the people who framed it in such a way that like made it sound like I didn't know what a roller was or how a roller worked. Yeah, thank you. I've never heard of a roller before. So look, I have very legitimate reasons for not using a roller on this wall. Okay. Our downstairs in this house, we have repainted at least 3 times since we've lived here. And I used rollers down there. So it's not like I've never painted anything before. And the reason that I didn't use it on this wall was because of some of the things that I learned using the roller downstairs. Specifically, that a roller can fling out little specks, like tiny specks of paint. It can tend to do that. My cabinets downstairs, if I can get some footage, I'll put it up here. But my cabinets downstairs to this day have little tiny speckles of paint on it where it had kind of flown off and landed on there, and I can't seem to get it off without ruining the finish on the. I didn't want to do that in this room because I've got cameras, I've got computer equipment, I've got very expensive stuff that I didn't want to get little flecks of paint all over. So that was one strike against it. Another strike against it, again, from my experience downstairs, rollers tend to drip kind of a lot, and this is a carpet, and I didn't want to get stuff all over the carpet. Granted, I had plastic down, but I didn't want to run the risk of it. I just didn't want to run the risk. I mean, because it can get on the plastic, but then the plastic, you step on it and it, kind of gets on your shoe, and then you can get it on the floor. There's just a lot of opportunities for that to wind up in the carpet, and I didn't want that to happen. Another thing is, again, lessons learned, you have that pan that you have to use with a roller. Well, often if you put too much paint in there, or just accidentally, you can push some of that out over the edge. Didn't want to do that on top of the carpet. Also, this is a very small space, and it was very, 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 very cluttered. And especially with the plastic on the floor and stuff, there's a big opportunity, a big risk of stepping on that pan. But anyway, there were just a lot of opportunities for dripping off of the roller, lots of opportunities for tipping over the pan. It just seemed like there was a bit of risk there. Oh, there's one other thing about using rollers that, again, I learned downstairs and in other rooms of our house, in our bathroom over there. I'm thinking specifically. These are very highly textured walls. That's just how it was when I bought them. And when you use a roller, it can sometimes not get all the way into that texture, meaning that the color underneath kind of sticks out a little bit. There's little places all over our house where the roller just didn't quite do the job completely. And especially since this is going to be back there and it's sort of like this blue color, I didn't want to run the risk of it being light or whatever. And I felt like I was going to have to go over it with a paintbrush anyway to fill in all those gaps. So I didn't want to run the risk of there being spots on the wall. Using a paintbrush allowed me to get in there, be able to kind of do it all in one pass, make sure I got everything. It made sure that there weren't any gaps and everything. It was a lot less opportunity for paint splatter everywhere. And the only real benefit to doing the roller was it was faster. That would cut down on the amount of time. And honestly, I had all the time in the world. I literally set aside an entire day just to paint this one wall. That was my only task that day, was to take care of that wall. And the other thing that probably doesn't come across as well on the video that I shot was that because I shot it in wide angle lenses just to get it all in the shot and everything, this isn't a very big wall. It's the small wall of this room. I did the whole thing in like 2 hours. Like I literally watched a movie while I was doing that. I think it was Mannequin, actually. There's a few movies that I watched while I was doing all this. Mannequin was one of them. Inner Space was one of them. Inner Space holds up better than Mannequin. Mannequin didn't hold up so well. It's a small wall. It was a couple hours. I really wasn't saving anything by going with a roller. I had a lot of people wanting to see a follow-up with the cable management because, as I kept referring to the bird's nest of cables down below the table and whatnot, I will do that when I get to it. I'm sad to say that it's been about a month now since I recorded that video, or since I released it and finished all this. There really hasn't been much else done since then. I had a lot of catching up to do on videos. I have somehow wound up a little bit behind. And there's also just little incremental things that I've had to do with the computer and whatnot. I am working with some new LUTs. There's a color grading professional person that's helping me out with that. So we're going to be kind of playing around with that. We'll be seeing some new looks on the channel as we go forward. But anyway, all that's to say, like, I still haven't even filled out the cabinets over here. The square shelves back here are still just loaded. Like, it is exactly where it was when I left off. I haven't had time to like push some things around a little bit more and do this. I think I got everything about 80% done, and that's where it stayed so far. It is my goal to not leave it like this forever, to find a little bit of time to come back and maybe set aside another week or something like that just to get everything where I need it here. So yeah, when I get that done, I'll try to record it and do a follow-up and see. Like, I would love to do a big reveal where everything's like sparkly clean and perfect and everything, assuming I can ever possibly get it there. But it needs to be better than it is right now. Still some work to be done. But so for the people who wanted to see my cable management, that may still happen. That's still to come. So there were some various comments that I thought I would just respond to that spoke to different things. Like, those were the three main things that people were kind of harping on. I just wanted to speak to that. I wanted to about it. But so here's some that I just wanted to follow up with. So David Aspden said why he hasn't invested in a full studio. I will never know. That's fair. I had considered that, actually. And there's still some talks about maybe doing that at some point in the future. But the main answer to that is, honestly, I didn't start becoming a YouTuber so that I would have to go into an office. You know, I love the fact that I can do this. Like, I've got a shirt on and not pajama pants. I've got shorts on right now, but like, I love that I can just go in here and record whenever I need to. I don't have to like pack everything up and go to some other place. And there's also obviously just the overhead part of it. I mean, this is free space for me, basically. Whereas if I were to go somewhere else, I would have to rent the space and yeah, there's a whole thing there. Now there's a lot of advantages to that. Again, we are actually thinking about that because at some point we might want to expand and maybe do different types of shows and have different setups here. We could have one studio with multiple setups and stuff. Or I could lease out space to other creators that might want to use that space to do their thing. There are other people on my team that have ideas that they want to do for channels and stuff. And that might be a good, central hub. And it might get to the point where it's like, hey, we're a studio now and it's time to just nut up and go, do the whole thing in a space and have office space and stuff. We may get there. And we may be barreling toward that. But for right now, I'm happy with just taking a room out of my house and not having to pay anything extra and just doing it here. So Cannibal Bananas, which is a great name, you asked a few questions, but you said, what's your second dog's name? You're only aware of Zoe. So that's Phoebe. Phoebe was kind of our pandemic puppy. We got her right around the beginning of the whole pandemic thing. We had Phoebe and Jake for 3 months or so before Jake passed away. So for a minute there, we had 3 dogs. Now we have 2. Phoebe was kind of kept quiet, weirdly. Like even on our social media, we didn't go around like talking about Phoebe too much because I don't know. I feel like great. Now we have 2 French bulldogs. We're those people now. Awesome, But Phoebe is a total sweetheart. She does show up actually in some of the podcasts. If you watch the video versions of the podcasts, there's something about me having a conversation with somebody over Zoom that makes her want to get in my lap. So she comes up and paws at me and she winds up in my lap. Phoebe is a total sweetheart. She's not the brightest bulb on the tree. Zoe is really smart, but she's independent. She kind of like wants to be in the room with you, but she's not really a cuddler. Phoebe wants to be on top of you all the time. Of course, she sheds like crazy, so I have little Phoebe hairs on me all the time. I'm not sure how Phoebe fits into the Zoe canon of the Eternal Chunk religion. Maybe she's an understudy. We'll see. She has to earn her place in that. So Chase Collins suggests that I match the pitch of the vacuum to the song. Totally did that on purpose. Yeah, totally did that. Meant to do that. So Amy Rivers asked what I use my Stream Deck for. Not a lot, actually. So I don't have like a really big live streaming setup here. I do live streams for Patreon people. Hype, go check out Patreon. But I don't really do live streams for the general channel that much, so it's not really all that necessary. There are some people that have these like massive, just really cool live stream setups, and that's not really what I have. Basically, what I use my Stream Deck for is the lights. I can turn all the lights on and off with just one click of a button. I have gotten to where sometimes I will just turn on the backlights. This is kind of a cool look, isn't it? This can be like, this can be like my Joe gets serious. Serious Joe. But I've gotten to where I just kind of like leave those on in the background when I'm working, just for a little ambient light. But I've got that. I've got a little applause button here. Yeah, you can hear that. And that's really all I've got. That's all I've got on here. Yeah. I haven't really programmed a whole lot into it. I don't use it for very much. That's why I've only got a little bitty one.
That's why I've only got a little bitty one.
So Mambisa suggested that I should have employed a professional designer and organizer. So I did bring in a set designer that I know that I've worked with that works on like films and commercials and stuff like that. And she helped me to kind of get this nailed down in the background. But as far as hiring a professional organizer, dude, that could still happen. There's still a lot of organizing. Actually, I really haven't gotten into the organizing yet. I was talking about that a second ago. So that could still happen. And actually, my mother-in-law, my wife's mom, she's about as OCD as you can get. And whenever she watches our house for us, whenever we take a trip or whatever, we always come back and she's reorganized everything, which basically means that we have to like try to find everything after we get back. Something always goes missing and is never seen again. But she, you know what, honestly, I might hire her to come in here and organize all this. That's not a bad idea. Jeffrey was asking what mount did I use for the tangent cam? What do I have up here? I think. Oh, yeah. Okay. So, now that I've got the tangent cam, so I've got these El Gato lights over here, and they come with this mount right here. That's actually what I'm using for the tangent cam. I just reused that mount because I had 3 of these. Hello, you're over there. I used 3 of these, but I only need 2 right now with the setup the way it is. So I took one of these mounts and yeah, I just kind of like rejiggered the thing up top so that I could attach a camera to it. And I use a little articulating arm that I bought from B&H Photo that actually attaches the camera to it. So yeah. John was asking where I acquired my white cube shelves. Ikea, bro. So like the 4-banger that you got back there. Let me go back to my camera. Yeah, those that have been back there this whole time is Ikea shelves. Most YouTubers have Ikea shelves in the background. I was not the first or last person to do that. The other ones that are in the actual shot now, these back here, it's basically the same model, but it's half the size. It's 2 high instead of 4 high. So Ikea. So Roy Sigurd Carlsbach, I think I said your name right. Why did I put the YouTube passes? I think you mean the plaques. Why did I put those in the tile wall instead of the background? Honestly, I like the way that gold looks against the wood. That's why I did it. Now, the thing that everybody's flipping out about, and I understand why, is this right here is not level. I've got so many people in all of my videos so far that are commenting like, please straighten that up, I'm losing my mind. Look, I don't know what to tell you, man. I spent an hour trying to fix that. And I think it's like an optical illusion. I think that's just sort of like the way the light is bouncing off of it or something, because I cannot seem to get it straight. I might work on it some more because it bugs me too. Maybe not as much as some of the comments I've gotten, but yeah. But no, I get what you're saying. The textured wall does kind of, that might be adding to the issue of the lopsidedness of it and whatnot. But I just liked how they looked on that wall versus back here. That's all. Oh, and he asked, did I throw away the thing explainer? No, but it's kind of out of the eye shot. It's down below. It turns out it didn't quite fit on, it's a little too tall for the thing. But I still got it. Okay, so Robert asked, what's the green substance that we've been viewing that's in front of that monitor? Okay, so I had a lot of comments on this. A lot of people seem to think that it was a giant bowl of marijuana. Somebody please tell me who has that much marijuana just like in a bowl out on their desk. Do you think I'm Snoop Dogg? Like, really? No, it's not pot. It is pumpkin seeds. I roast my own pumpkin seeds. I have a massive oral fixation. Laugh all you want. But yeah, I have to be noshing on things all the time. It's just a thing that I do. I'm always chewing on stuff, which is why my teeth are so messed up. But yeah, I roast my own pumpkin seeds and I just kind of keep them in one of those like bowls that I got from takeout years ago or whatever. And that's what's sitting out on my desk. So I can just kind of like, throw them in my mouth. It's not pot. I'm trying to imagine why somebody would have that much pot just like out on their desk. I mean, wouldn't you want to keep it fresh? Do you think you're smoking so much of it that you need that much of it? I would not be able to function. Like, where do you get your ideas from? Oh, have you seen my giant bowl of pot that's just out on my desk all the time? All right, so Jim Fields was said doc filmmaker here. Awesome, very cool. What cameras do you use? You see a Blackmagic. Just curious about your setup. So yeah, this camera right here that I'm looking into, it's a Blackmagic Studio Pro 4K, which is a little overpowered for what I need here. And it's kind of got some quirks to it. For example, it doesn't have a drive for SD cards, I found out. You have to record onto an SSD card or an SSD drive, which is fine. But it's mostly just it goes into the computer, so that's good. It's a good camera. I had to get a separate lens for it, so I got a really nice lens and whatnot. The other camera, tangent cam over here, is a Sony 6600, Alpha 6600. I've got a whole series of the Sony Alpha series, mostly so that I could use the lenses interchangeably. I've got the 6000, the 64,000, or 6400. I think I've got a 6500 and a 6600. I just collected these over the years. And I used to use it as my main camera, actually, before I got this one. Ironically, I bought it so that I could interchange all of the lenses and stuff. What does not interchange, unbelievably, are the batteries. Like, each camera uses a different battery, and that's something else I've got to organize over there, which is just mind-blowingly, like, seriously? I gotta have different batteries and different chargers for each one of those cameras. Having said that, I might be getting rid of some of those cameras because I just don't need all of them right now. I've got a different camera in there. It's a Sony FX3. That's what I actually use for like sketches and stuff like that. So, yeah, I might be getting rid of some cameras soon. I don't really need all of these laying around. Okay, so Helios Ending asked me to address the four-eyed elephant in the room. Very clever word of phrase there. Asking about my getting LASIK. So, okay, here's the funny thing. I did a video here on this channel years ago about me wanting to get LASIK. So I got it done at the very end of 2020 because I wanted to have 2020 vision in 2020 because I'm so clever. I didn't wear glasses before, then I got LASIK, now I'm wearing glasses. So it's a fair question, like, what the hell? Why are you wearing glasses? I thought you got LASIK. And I did. What's funny to me, though, is like I did one video about getting LASIK, and I have talked about this. I've answered this question. No offense, Helios Ending. I'm not trying to put you on the spot. But I have answered this question multiple times. Not only on this channel, but on the main channel and like the lightning round videos and stuff. I've done far more videos responding to why I'm wearing glasses now than I ever did about getting LASIK in the first place. But let me just respond one more time. I've always had bad vision. I've always been super nearsighted, and I'm getting up in age. So, the close-up vision does start to go a little bit. So when I got the LASIK done, it corrected my distance vision, but it totally messed up my short vision. So, ironically, I wear glasses far more now than I ever did back before I got my vision corrected. Because, as it turns out, 90% of what you do is like right around you. So, the big question that I get asked a lot is, would I recommend it? Would I do it again? And honestly, I don't know. There are days when I really wish I didn't do it. I wish I hadn't done it. I think if you're younger, if you're, in your mid 30s or younger or something like that, maybe even up to 40, sure. Yeah, I think that's fine because you'll at least get some years of getting perfect vision at all distances and stuff. But maybe in your late 40s and older, which is where I am, I think your presbyopia or whatever the close-up vision starts to go, it's just kind of like, I don't know. There's massive trade-offs. So it's a big question that I ask myself a lot. Was it a mistake? I feel like in a lot of ways it caused more problems than it fixed. But yeah. Cogito NM asked what kind of chair that is. Well, it's not in front of me right here, but the chair that I was sitting in before, maybe I can pull it up on the tangent cam here. Can you see it over there? Kind of off in the distance. It's a company called Human Scale, and I've had it for a couple of years. He said it looks comfy. It's comfy enough. Honestly, I think it looks nicer than it is comfy, and it also makes a lot of noise. There's a lot of creaks and groans and cracks and pops and snaps and stuff. I actually have a little bit of anxiety sitting in it at night in here because, if my wife's asleep in the next room and the dogs will bark at any noise that they hear, I might sit down in that thing and it pops and cracks and they start barking. It's like, So I'm not saying that to slam it. I like the chair. It looks really nice. But yeah, it's called Human Scale is the name of the company. And I've had it for a few years now. Frank asked why I didn't ceiling mount my camera. There's a very good answer to that. I've got a ceiling fan right there. Why didn't you just move the ceiling fan? Because, come on, I don't feel like just... I did ceiling mount, these other two lights, which is nice. I do recommend it, but yeah, there's a ceiling fan right here, and I didn't feel like disassembling it and moving it around or whatever, so yeah. But I think that kind of responds to most of the big questions that people had about my setup. Like I said, it's still kind of being reworked. I did figure some stuff. Yeah, I redid some stuff on my Scarlett 2i2 Focusrite audio thing here. I'm kind of ashamed to say I didn't realize that it could be set up in such a way that I could use the headset as the monitor. So I found the little efficiencies there, which are kind of nice. And I'm using it now as my external speaker thing. So I promise I'll be talking about things other than my studio on this channel at some point moving forward. You guys have heard me say I'm going to do more stuff on here and it never happens. So I'm not going to insult your intelligence by saying that. But anyway, those are the answers that I have to the questions, and especially the ones about the computer and the painting that everybody seemed to have. So there you go. So I'll leave it with that. And more to come. Like I said, I will at some point carve out some time and finish this whole thing up. And at the very least, if I don't record the whole thing, I'll give you a before and after kind of deal. So anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for commenting. And I hope you guys are all doing great. And I appreciate all the feedback. I know that I really did not know how changing up everything so drastically would go over, because people tend to get really, locked into what they want from their YouTube creators and stuff. So it could have gone over badly, and it didn't. You guys were very supportive, and I appreciate that. I'm glad that I can continue to evolve things. I didn't want to just be too complacent and do the same thing forever. So yeah, with that, I'll let you go. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you next time. Later.